After World War I, Australian veterans returning from the war were given land to farm as part of their packages for service. These soldiers, who had been involved in such catastrophic and costly campaigns as the Battle of Gallipoli, must have assumed that war was something far behind them. In fact, a new conflict was about to begin. As the Great Depression loomed, the Australian government asked the new farmers to grow more wheat, promising subsidies. It was a surefire plan to keep food prices down, but they had forgotten one crucial thing. Emus. There's thousands of them. Usually, emus migrate from the centre of Australia to the coast following the breeding period. However, the new farms offered ample food and water supply, so the emus decided it was better to stay there. This incursion onto farmers' land became the start of the Great Emu War. The farmers pleaded with the government to intervene. Planning began. The soldiers, remembering how efficient machine gun fire had been during the war, asked for Lewis guns to be used against the emus. The soldiers set a trap. They waited for the emus to walk into their ambush, but the emus retreated with only, quote, a number of birds being killed. On the 2nd of November, the Great Emu War had begun. 2 days later, another ambush was planned at a local dam. There were 1,000 enemy emu there, unaware of the soldiers' presence. The guns were aimed into the horde, and the silence was broken by the sound of gunfire. However, after only 12 emus were killed, the gun jammed because no one had cleaned it properly, and no more emus were spotted for that day. The soldiers grew desperate. They mounted a gun onto a truck, but the truck was too slow to catch the emus, and too bumpy for the gun to fire accurately. 2,500 rounds of ammunition had been fired, but only somewhere between 50 to 200 birds had been killed. However, the leading commander, Major Meredith, did report that no men had been lost in the fighting. At this point, the military decided that a temporary truce was prudent, but on the 13th of November the attacks resumed. Approximately 10,000 rounds were fired, killing 986 emu. However, when you consider how many rounds had been fired, this is a pitifully small number, especially considering that some 20,000 still remained. Although there were renewed successes in the campaign, public morale was failing. Therefore, the military adopted a bounty system, letting the farmers, the military veterans, kill the emus and collect the reward. In this sense, the war was over, although there were still skirmishes between emu and farmer militias. The Great Emu War is still remembered as one of the defining wars in Australian history, and we hope that by talking about it to you today, that the lessons of this harsh and brutal war can be learned, so that such a conflict is never repeated again.
You know the thing about emu? Lifeless eyes, black eyes like a doll's eyes. When he comes at you, he doesn't seem to be living until he bites you.